Welcome to Millennium Daily News. This is Ifat Fatima with top stories. Trump fights for healthcare bill, makes headway with conservatives. 5 dead in Westminster terror attack. Israeli fire kills Palestinian near Gaza border fence. No conspiracy against Bangladesh to work, Prime Minister. Militants and terrorists desperate to conduct suicide attacks. And injured Kusal Pereira out of first 2 ODIs against Bangladesh. Those were the headlines, now the detail. US President Donald Trump and House of Representatives leaders pushed for votes for their plan to overhaul Obamacare and said they were making progress in their efforts to win over conservative Republicans who have demanded changes to the legislation. With a vote on the bill possible, members of the House Freedom Caucus, a conservative Republican faction, said they had been negotiating alterations to the plan with the White House. Much of the discussion hinged on conservatives' desire to scrap what are labeled essential health benefits, services that insurance plans are required to cover under the Affordable Care Act, commonly called Obamacare, such as mental health help. President Donald Trump's son has criticized London's mayor shortly after a terror attack on the UK capital that killed 4 people. Donald Trump Jr. tweeted an article written last year in which Sadiq Khan said terror vigilance had become part and parcel of life in a global city. "You have to be kidding me," said Mr. Trump, immediately sparkling accusations that he was exploiting the tragedy and misrepresenting the mayor's point. Dozens were hurt in the London attack. 5 people have died and at least 40 were injured after an attacker drove a car along a pavement in Westminster, stabbed a policeman and was shot dead by police in the grounds of Parliament. The dead officer has been named as PC Keith Palmer, 48, a husband and father. Prime Minister Theresa May said the attack was sick and depraved and struck at values of liberty, democracy, and freedom of speech. The attacker has not been named by police. Acting Deputy Commissioner and Head of Counterterrorism at the Metropolitan Police, Mark Rowley, said they think they know who he is and that he was inspired by international and Islamist-related terrorism, but gave no further details. Some 20,000 people are being evacuated after a series of explosions at a massive arms depot in eastern Ukraine described by officials as sabotage. The base in Balaklia near Kharkiv is around 100 kilometers from fighting against Russian-backed separatists. The dump is used to store thousands of tons of ammunition, including missiles and artillery weapons. Rescue teams are overseeing a huge evacuation effort for people living in the city and nearby villages. The total area of the dump spans more than 350 hectares, the military says. Israeli fire killed a Palestinian and wounded 2 others in the Gaza Strip near Israel's border fence with the Hamas Islamist-run enclave, hospital officials said. The Israeli military said its forces detected 3 suspects near the security fence and fired towards them, identifying 1 hit in the pre-dawn incident. No Palestinian militant group claimed the men as members. A signed local resident said that the 3 may have been trying to cross into Israel under the cover of darkness to seek work. Criticizing the fund withdrawal by the World Bank in the Padma Bridge project, Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina said the international agencies which brought false allegations have now got lessons that no conspiracy against the people of Bangladesh would work. They have now got such lessons that none would be able to hatch conspiracy anymore to force Bangladeshis to keep their heads down. Our goal is to move the country forward and we are working tirelessly to this end, she said. The Prime Minister was speaking after formally handing over the Independence Award 2017 to the recipients and their representatives at a function in the city's Osmani Memorial Auditorium. The Prime Minister and Awami League President Sheikh Hasina handed over the Independence Award 2017, the highest state award, to Bangladesh Air Force and 15 distinguished personalities in recognition of their outstanding contributions to their respective fields. The Prime Minister handed over a certificate, an 18-carat gold medal weighing 50 grams, and a Taka 3 lakh check to each of the recipients and their representatives at a function at the city's Osmani Memorial Auditorium. Cabinet Secretary Muhammad Shafiul Alam conducted the award-giving ceremony and read out the citation of the awardees. The awardees are former Group Captain Shamsul Alam Bir Uttam Ashraful Alam, Shahid Muhammad Nazmul Haq, posthumous; Syed Mohsin Ali, posthumous; N.M. Nazmul Ahsan, posthumous; Shahid Faizur Rahman Ahmed, posthumous; and Bangladesh Air Force, Independence and Liberation War. Professor A.H.M. Tauhidul Anwar Chaudhary, Medical Science; Begum Rabia Khatun and late Ghulam Samdani Khawaishi, Literature, posthumous; Professor Enamul Haq and Ostad Bazlur Rahman Badal, Culture; Khalil Kazi, Social Service; Shamsuzaman Khan and late Professor Lalit Mohan Nath, Research and Training, posthumous; and Professor Muhammad Asaduzzaman, Public Administration. The police officials said the militants are now opting to carry out suicide attacks at different parts of the country to demonstrate their existence. They observed that the militants are trying to involve their family members with militancy either by force or motivation, as they have got isolated following the drives by police, RAB and other law enforcement agencies. The police officials also said through extremists used to consider Dhaka city as their relatively safer hideout due its huge floating people. Now they are trying to spread outside Dhaka, changing their old strategy. The workers of a garment factory staged demonstration in front of their factory near Rampura Television Center in Dhaka to press home their various demands, including halting relocation of their factory. Police said around 100 workers of the factory took to the streets around 8 a.m. and staged demonstrations protesting the authorities' move to relocate the factory to another place, disrupting traffic movement on the busy road. On information, police rushed in and tried to disperse them. At one stage, the workers pelted brickbats towards police, prompting them to lob tear gas shells. Bangladesh and India signed an agreement on the South Asia satellite, formally joining the Indian government's initiative. Chairman of the Bangladesh Telecommunication Regulatory Commission, BTRC, Shahjahan Mahmood, and Indian High Commissioner Harshvardhan Shringla signed the agreement titled Orbit Frequency Coordination of proposed at 480E. All the South Asian countries except Pakistan will be part of this unique project, binding the region in a cooperative and collaborative endeavor for the benefit of the people of the participating countries. It represents a landmark in cooperation between our two countries in high technology, said High Commissioner Shringla. The High Court admonished two judges over their refusal to hear a bail petition filed by an accused in a case filed under Section 57 of the Information and Communication Technology Act. The judges are Magura District and Sessions Judge Sheikh Mufizur Rahman and Judge of Cyber Tribunal of Dhaka Muhammad Saiful Islam. The two-member High Court bench of Justice Muhammad Miftauddin Chaudhary and Justice A.N.M. Bashirullah also granted bail to accused Ahmed Shobuj, a resident of Mohammadpur Upazila in Magura district. The court did not accept the written statements of the two judges, said Shobuj's lawyer Muhammad Aminul Ehsan Zubair. Viewers, now Millennium Business News. The dollar edged up from 4-month lows against the yen, but gains were capped by U.S. President Donald Trump's struggle to push through a healthcare bill. The U.S. currency has struggled this week as growing doubts over Trump's ability to push through with economic and tax policies triggered broad risk aversion and Buffett equities. U.S. Treasury yields decline, in turn eroding the dollar's interest allure. Financial markets' immediate focus is on whether Trump can gather enough support at a vote later in the city to pass a bill to roll back Obamacare, one of his key campaign pledges. The trade benefits of belonging to the European Union have been largely imaginary, according to the social policy think tank Civitas. Its analysis argues that exports from non-EU countries to the single market have grown faster than the UK's since its creation in 1993. That lends weight to the argument that no EU deal is better than a bad deal, the author said. Theresa May will start talks on the UK's departure from the EU on 29 March. The Prime Minister will officially notify the EU of the UK's intention to leave by triggering Article 50 and writing to European Council President Donald Tusk. At least 4 major US firms have pulled millions of dollars in advertising from Google's platform amid rows over extremist content. The Times reported that telecoms firms AT&T and Verizon, as well as car rental company Enterprise and pharmaceutical giant GSK, have withdrawn all non-search advertising. An investigation by the newspaper found major brands were appearing next to YouTube videos promoting extremist views, generating revenues for the creators. The company has apologized and promised better tools for advertisers. Asian stocks taking some cues from a steady Wall Street edged up with while the path for the dollar, which crawled up from a 4-month low, remained clouded by the concerns about the prospects for US President Donald Trump's pro-growth agenda. Sterling Great Britain pound is equal to D3 was steady at 1.2483 pound following a decline of as much as 0.4% after an attack close to Britain's parliament left 5 people dead, including the attacker and a police officer, and injured 40. Police said they believe the attacker was inspired by Islamist-related terrorism. Viewers, now Millennium Environment, Science and Technology News. Dozens of California communities have experienced recent rates of childhood lead poisoning that surpass those of Flint, Michigan, with one Fresco locale showing rates nearly 3 times higher. Blood testing data obtained by Reuters shows. The data shows how lead poisoning affects even a state known for its environmental advocacy, with high rates of childhood exposure found in a swath of the Bay Area and downtown Los Angeles, and the figures show that despite national strides in eliminating lead-based products, hazards remain in areas far from the Rust Belt or East Coast regions filled with old housing and legacy industry. 12 new types of cloud, including the rare wave-like aspiratus cloud, have been recognized for the first time by the International Cloud Atlas. The atlas, which dates back to the 19th century, is a global reference book for observing and identifying clouds. Last revised in 1987, its new fully digital edition includes the aspiratus after campaigns by citizen scientists. Other new entries include the roll-like volatus and contrails clouds formed from the vapor trail of airplanes. Chinese coastal sea levels hit record highs in 2016, driven by climate change as well as El Nino and La Nina events, the country's sea administration said. According to an annual report published by China's State Oceanic Administration, average coastal sea levels in 2016 were up 38 millimeters compared to the previous year and saw record-breaking highs in the months of April, September, November, and December. Against the background of global climate change, China's coastal air and sea temperatures have soared. Coastal air pressure has fallen and sea level have also soared, it said. Viewers, now Millennium Sports News. Sri Lankan wicketkeeper batsman Kushal Perera has been ruled out of the first two ODIs of the three-match series against Bangladesh due to a hamstring injury. Confirming the news, Sri Lanka's cricket manager Asanka Gurusinha said that the 26-year-old sustained the hamstring strain during today's warm-up match in Colombo. Gurusinha further revealed that the strain to his left thigh is a very minor one and therefore it is likely that he might get fit enough to play in the second ODI in Dambulla on March 28. Milinda Siriwardena has been named as a replacement for Perera in the squad. South Africa wicketkeeper Quinton de Kock is in doubt for the third test against New Zealand and many miss the entire Indian Premier League because of a finger injury. Uncapped keeper Henrik Klassen is on standby to replace de Kock if he fails a fitness test a day ahead of the test at Hamilton's Seddon Park. De Kock had an X-ray in Hamilton which showed his finger was not broken, but he suffered ligament damage when the injury occurred during the second test in Wellington. South Africa won that match by 8 wickets to lead the three-match series 1-0. The Paris beat team issued an ultimatum to the IOC. It's the 2024 Olympics or nothing. With only Paris and Los Angeles left the 2024 bidders after rivals dropped out, IOC President Thomas Bach has raised the prospect of one city being awarded 2024 and the other taking 2028 to avoid there being a loser. But with less than 6 months until the vote, the International Olympic Committee is still hesitating over whether to go through with a sudden bidding change. And Bach's vision to lock up Summer Games hosts for the next 11 years could be derailed by the insistence of both Los Angeles and Paris that they are only focused on 2024. Before ending, the headlines are once again. Trump fights for healthcare bill, makes headway with conservatives. 5 dead in Westminster terror attack. Israeli fire kills Palestinian near Gaza border fence. No conspiracy against Bangladesh to work, Prime Minister. Militants and terrorists desperate to conduct suicide attacks. And injured Kushal Perera out of first two ODIs against Bangladesh. This is all for now from Millennium Daily Newsroom. To get any kind of news, please visit to our social website facebook.com/millenniumtvusa and youtube.com/millenniumtvusa. Besides, to get the most updated news, please log into our website www.millenniumtv.org and millenniumtvusa.com. Stay with Millennium. Allah Hafiz.